riding through your storm, you are not alone. God controls the wind and he controls the waves. The storm must obey every word that he says. He's everything to you. He's everything to you. What the Lord allows.
Hello, everyone. I'm DeWayne Harvey, and I've been doing gospel music now for many, many years. My mom tells the story of how I started in gospel music at the age of 3 years old, singing in the choir and having to have the same robe, the same outfit made when they sang every Sunday morning. And so I have a rich history in gospel music, but I've also been privileged to work in the healthcare industry, owning my own healthcare management company, my own property acquisition company. Over the years, it's really blessed me. I've worked in nursing homes, independent living facilities, assisted living facilities. I built and developed my own facilities across the state of Florida, and I even ended up working in Indianapolis, Indiana. So it's been a great career. I have a wonderful wife, her name is Donna, and 4 adult children now, and 1 granddaughter and a grandson on the way. So I'm excited about what God's doing in my life. And I pastor the great church in the city of Tallahassee, Florida, called the Greater Blessings Tabernacle of Praise. And it's been 16 years of pastoring that church. So I am so happy to be with you guys this afternoon.
Wow. Mr. Harvey, you said 2 things that stood out to me. Number 1, you just never stopped evolving. Even once you discovered your passion for ministering and singing, you never stopped evolving beyond that. So why was that important for you?
I think I grew up understanding that we as individuals should always be lifelong learners. There's always something new. You never get too old. There's always something new, always something better to discover, new ways, we find better and different ways of expressing ourselves. And I liken it to the Bible where some were given 1 talent while others were given 10 talents. Mm-hmm. And I think I'm a man of, I've been graced to have many talents. And so I try to use all the talents that I have to benefit the kingdom. And when you benefit the kingdom, you also benefit your life. So that's kind of how I live. And I was coined by Dr. Bobby Jones when he had the show on the BET network as the Renaissance man of gospel music, because he knew I wore a lot of hats and did a lot of things very well. And so that kind of stuck with me, DeWayne Harvey, the Renaissance man of gospel. And I try to do that wherever I go, share life. I love taking care of the elderly, which I did for many years. I love the preach word ministry. I love seeing people come and give their lives to the Lord. And I love the singing ministry. So I love all of it. And I love developing properties. I also do housing, where I develop apartment communities and things of that nature to make sure that people have appropriate housing that's readily available in their communities. So
how do you walk in, like, it seems like you have so much going on. First of all, how do you find the time to walk in excellence?
Well, sometimes that's extremely hard. It's getting a little easier now since that we have no young children. It's just me and my wife. And so I have 2 offices. I live between 2 cities. I live in Tallahassee and Jacksonville, Florida. And so it's kind of, I do this time, and then I do another thing at this time. I usually work on music. There's a day given to music, because not only do I sing and produce things for myself, I work with other artists and produce music for others as well. So I usually do that on Wednesdays and kind of segregate it out, and then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday belong to the church, and then it starts all over again on Monday. And you just have to spread yourself out and understand that in life, you have to make some difficult choices. And some difficult choices is maybe sometimes how to allocate your time. But I want to make sure that everything runs according. And in this pandemic, it's given me a little more time to exercise my gifts, because nobody that I needed to work for almost a whole year was working. I couldn't get anything done. So I was better able to focus on music, better able to focus on the church during this time.
Which is awesome. So pivoting is what you learned to do. In what ways?
In what ways? It's just basically, um, like I said, segregating your time. You got to be aware of the things you have to do, and a good calendar and good assistants. I have some very good assistants and managers around me
Mm-hmm.
who help me segregate the time. I'm not one that thinks I have to do it all, but I've been able to find some very good people, put them in place, employ them, and they help navigate who is DeWayne Harvey.
Right. So you believe that you have to have help in order to be successful.
Oh, there's no way around that. Success is, to me, it's a learn. You don't just jump out there. The way I came into the healthcare industry, some people took me under their wing and helped show me how to be successful in healthcare. The way I became um, known in the gospel industry, there were so many people who helped me along the way and took me in. I remember the first deal I had was with my record company and Ty Scott Records, which is the oldest Black record label in the United States, which was owned by Dr. Leonard Scott. I'll be forever grateful for him taking me in. And then I was taken in by Al the Bishop Hobbs, who owned Aleo International Records, where I landed after that. And then taking me under their wing, showing me the ropes and how things are to be done, and landed in a good spot with my public relations firm, Double Exposure, out of New York, which opened up so many doors for me. It was unreal. The publicist, who's Angelo Ellerby, found so much favor in me, not because of all the things that I did, just because of the conversations that we had, and we became friends. And so I would find myself, I met Roberta Flack, I met Dionne Warwick, I met Ashford and Simpson, I've met Freddie Jackson, I met Andre Neftali, I think that's how you pronounce his name. Well, he was the editor for Vogue magazine at the time. I met so many great people, and at the same time, Donna Lawrence and all of these great people who came through that agency. He didn't find it robbery to, oh, I'm going to dinner here. Come go along with me. I want to introduce you to this. So many wonderful people. Bevy Smith, and the list goes on and on and on, all because I allowed myself to be me. I allowed myself to be kind. I allowed myself to be personable. And that's what's happened throughout my life. Just being who God called you to be, because you never know when someone's in need, when someone needs a word, when someone needs enlightenment. And I think that's what I provided over the years. And it just drew people to me who helped my career, who helped my business, who said, come on, DeWayne, let me show you how to make money at this. Come on, let me show you how to build this. And that's what I did. And I've had all races, all creeds, all colors pour into me. And you can never stop allowing people to pour into you who believe in you.
I love that. Do you believe in alignment?
Oh, most definitely. There is what I call a perfect alignment,
Mm-hmm.
when I allow my will to turn into God's will and meet God at his timing. And sometimes we prolong things because God's ready to do it, but we're not ready to meet him at his timing. And so it's very important that we are aligned with where God wants us to be, what he wants to take us. And the biggest way I found about being aligned is to stop, relax, and release. Release the things I'm holding on to, release and let our own inner being, our own connection with God, our higher power, lead us and guide us. And my faith is such a great player in doing that. I have great faith, but great faith came with great trials.
And one of those trials was sleep apnea, right?
Oh, one of those trials was sleep apnea back in 2009. I've had sleep apnea since pretty much I was an adult, and I didn't know what it was.
Mm-hmm.
All I knew is the older I get, the tireder and tireder I got. I would wake up in the morning and be so tired. People would say, my wife would say, I snore so bad, she couldn't stay in the room with me. Or people would be in the living room, I'll be in the bedroom, which is way on the other side of the house, and they'd hear me snoring.
Wow.
And snoring is a key indicator that you have sleep apnea. And what sleep apnea does is it basically, about 70 times in an hour, I stop breathing.
Mm.
And so I just had a friend lose their child to sleep apnea. He snored, kept trying to get him tested. He never would go to the doctor, and one night he didn't wake back up. And so I went, and in 2009, I had a surgery. What the doctors were trying to do was open up my airways so that I could get as much air as possible. Little did I know the thing that they were trying to help me with, open my airways, when I came out of surgery, the opposite happened. I couldn't breathe. I was gasping for air. My wife was in the recovery room with me. I didn't want her to know I was in as bad a shape as I was in, but I would gasp for air and I was struggling. And she said, well, let me go outside to the car. And she went out the door. I looked at the nurse and I told the nurse, this is my last breath.
Wow.
I can't take another one. And the nurse says, before she knew it, she put her hands on me and she started praying. Never met that nurse before, but that was her first instinct. And she called. They rushed me to the operating room. And I remember coming through as the operating room doors opened. And I heard the Lord say, be healed.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still here today because he said then, be healed. And I'm forever grateful.
That is so inspiring. You give me chills, Mr. Harvey, when you told that story.
It's real. It's real.
Yes, and it's interesting. When you say you heard the voice of God, because some people are confused with what that voice is versus sometimes God is not blatant, but he is blatant. Is there a way that you can explain that?
The best way I can explain it is you'll know it when you hear it.
Mm-hmm.
I heard one preacher say, the voice of the Lord sounds like you. No, it does not sound like me. You will know it when you hear it. I can't describe, you'll just know, because a sense of presence will come over you. You'll just know. And part of the reason you will know is it's because you have to develop a relationship with him.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to hear when there's so much clutter going on in our lives.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we bring in a lot of clutter, and a lot of people say, well, I don't hear God like you do. You hear God. I said, well, he talks to everyone. I said, let's declutter your life and concentrate on decluttering your life. And I guarantee you, if you are sincere, he'll speak to you as well.
That's right. I'm almost thinking you're a counselor.
But, you know, being a healthcare executive, the CEO of a company that employed about 400 individuals, I would tell everybody most of the time I end up counseling all day.
Wow.
So many people with so many issues, so many problems, needing someone to give them a listening ear, needing someone to be there, needing someone. When I first started in the industry, I knew all my employees and the families and the extended families and all of those. But as regulations begin to change, I could no longer know. And that's the part I don't like about what we evolved into.
Mm-hmm.
I can no longer establish, it's just moving too fast that I can't establish the connections and the people who knew me in the community, the family, the extended family. It was always a blessing, and I missed that part.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Well, have you gotten adjusted to social media and the things that we're now doing to help with that?
Oh yes, social media is actually a great platform if you use it in the best way to get out a message about the music. I'm sure most of you have seen all the posts coming through from all kinds of ways of DeWayne Harvey, What the Lord Allows, featuring Fred Hammond. We're all over the place on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, getting the word out, and also the ministry. Our services now are being live streamed because of COVID-19. I have not opened up my church, but me and a small group of people go in and we record the services so that our members can still be active participants, but at the comfort of their home. A lot of churches are opening back up, and I tell them I have to wait until God gives me the instructions to open up. But I will share something with you that I've been promoting as I go around, as I get to talk about it. I am a proponent of the COVID vaccination, and I tell you why. And I want to share it because I want to help my people not be so afraid of taking the vaccination. You know, when it first came out, my family was very skeptical. They said, we don't know if we're going to take the vaccine, and we may just wait a while. And I said, I prayed about it, and the Lord told me to take the vaccination. I took the first vaccination, really didn't feel it, had no problems, nothing. And then 2 weeks later, after taking the vaccination, I was exposed to COVID. Tested positive. But because I took that vaccination, the only symptom I had was a headache that I had for 5 days.
Wow.
My breathing never changed. My oxygen saturation never changed. I had a headache and I was tired. That was it. And I said like this, COVID, the vaccination saved my life because I was living with high blood pressure. I was living with diabetes. I was living with sleep apnea. All of the things that I'm going to say it like this. I was a little tipping the scale overweight. All of the things that they say African Americans should not have, I had. I watched other people around me end up in the hospital, end up on ventilators. I had a friend that ended up on a ventilator for 165 days.
Wow.
And I watched them go through that, and I watched how the hand of God came in and protected me. It was God's leading me that said, DeWayne, take the vaccination. What the Lord allows is what you need. And I prayed about it. And you know, when my family saw me take the vaccination, I'm so happy to say all of my family now is vaccinated.
Wonderful.
Because of the leading of the father of the family. When they saw other people around them dying, other people around them ending up in the hospital on ventilators, and when I was exposed, none of that happened to them. To me, that was the greatest endorsement and testament to the vaccination process.
Florida had pretty high numbers.
Yes. And you know, I have a healthcare background. I'm also trained as a registered nurse. So I knew what to do to protect myself. I had all the masks, I had all the gloves. I didn't even get out and pump gas at the gas station without gloves. So where I picked it up is unknown.
That's crazy.
I wore my mask. I really didn't go to grocery stores like that. I ordered my food. So in the little space that I did go out, I picked it up. And so I tell people, you have got to be really careful because we're battling something that you can't see. And I told my son, he announced one of the biggest things when I was praying. My son had just announced I was about to have a grandchild. And I said these words to him: I'm not taking the vaccination just because of me.
Right.
I'm taking the vaccination to be present in your son's life.
That's right.
I'm taking the vaccination for you because I want to be around, not just to see this one grandson, but to see whatever other offsprings you have. I'm trying to give myself a chance, but most of all, it's for you guys. And so when they heard that, when African Americans started hearing the testimonies of people who've gone through this, people who, I didn't just make the decision haphazardly. I did all the research. I studied the science. I studied all of it. And with the Lord's guiding, made the decision. And I'm so grateful. I'm about to get my preach on and tell you, look at your neighbor and say, I'm still here. You about to get me happy on this Zoom call. Look at your neighbor and say, I'm still here. Because when you have such a place of gratitude and thanks, it doesn't take me long to give God praise.
Amen. I love it. Do you think you're a vessel?
Oh, I know I am. I know I'm a vessel. I know the song says, what the Lord allows.
Mhm.
If he allowed me to go through the COVID process, then I have to learn what did he want me to get out of it and who does he want me to help because of it. And so every time you got to say, I'm a vessel. When he sends this, and I always tell people, I've written songs for Dorothy Norwood, Angela Spivey, so many other groups. And I always tell people, I'm not a writer. I don't sit down with a piece of paper and say, I'm going to write a song.
Mhm.
I say, I'm an interpreter of what God sings. Because all of a sudden, he just starts singing in my ear, and I'm just the vessel who he uses to send it through. But they all belong to him. So I'm a vessel. Not only I'm a vessel, you're a vessel. And not only you're a vessel, but those who are around us, those who are listening or watching this Zoom call, they're also vessels and can be used in so many different ways. Every day, God gives us an opportunity to be used by him. And you have to embrace it. I preached a message a couple weeks ago that said, my interpretation is everything. How I look at what I'm going through, how I embrace it, is everything in living through it. It's everything in being a vessel. It's everything in accepting and knowing how to move forward. So I'm one of those who looks at, I'm usually going to have a different perspective than most people. I'm going to see more sides of an issue than just the one that's presented, that's right in front of me.
With your bout with COVID-19, is that what influenced the song?
No, actually, the song was written almost 2 years before COVID hit. Um, I was doing what people do.
Mhm.
And because I'm a preacher, I'm not exempt. I was going through a lot of things. Some things were happening in my business. Some things were happening in my family. Some things were happening at church. And I was complaining to God saying, Lord, enough is enough.
Right.
What? I'm human. You done hit me this way. You done hit me that way. It looks like 3 or 4 things happening at, hey now, hey, do you see me here?
Right.
Where are you? You said that you would deliver if I asked. Now, where are you? And I was crying my heart out on a Sunday morning, going to church, having to deliver the word, and kind of talking to God like, hey, what you doing?
Mhm.
And so when I got to the church, I got myself together, walked in the church. Immediately when I walked in the church, I started hearing the song, what the Lord allows is what you need, because I'm everything to you. And the first verse of that, when it came, just came. It says, while you're riding through your storm, you are not alone.
Mhm.
God controls the wind and he controls the wave. The storm must obey every word that he says, because he's everything to you. He's everything to you. And it let me know that no matter what situation I was going through, how bad it may look, I had a great God who was walking and riding this thing out with me. And he had never forsaken me. And whatever he was leading me through, it was still working for my good.
That
And
part.
it's hard when you're going through to say something working for your good.
Mhm.
That's I'm kind of a real preacher. No, that's hard.
It's time to say, no, we're not gonna lie today.
We're not gonna lie today. No, it's hard. It's hard. Um, I experienced a lot of death last year. My sister-in-law died unexpectedly. My mother-in-law passed away. My aunt passed away. Cousins passed away. I did probably about 11 funerals in the span of 4 months. And you begin to, everybody was leaning on me. And I was trying to help everybody else through it. And I'm looking at God, talking about, now, God, this has got to stop.
Mhm.
I don't know how much more I can take. And then he said, well, I recorded the song during COVID, though, because although the song came, I didn't record it. And I kind of took a 6-year hiatus from gospel
Mhm.
because I was going to record before, and some people around me frustrated me. And I said, Lord, if I got to deal with this, we just ain't gonna record no gospel music. I got enough businesses going on. I don't have to do all of that. I don't have to deal with this frustration. And then one day in choir rehearsal, my minister of music said to me, "Oh, church used to be so fun. Pastor would get these wonderful songs from the Lord. They'd come left and right. Pastor's not getting all these songs like he used to." It was almost like a slap in the face.
Mm.
You never know who needs what you have or what you give is so important to them. And the Lord spoke to me and said, "Now, when are you going to do? You hear it from him. When are you going to do what I told you to do?" And I knew right away it was pick the music back up. And here we are, the first track from my new album, DeWayne Harvey and Friends, What the Lord Allows. First track, What the Lord Allows.
And how did you partner with the phenomenal Fred Hammond?
Oh, you know, as I said, I've been around in gospel a long time. And I've never been a groupie. Like, you see people somewhere and you run up to them and you got to know them and you got to take pictures. I've never been that, but I've been fortunate to be introduced to so many people in gospel, and they just remember me. It was just nice. We just nice, and over the years, I had asked Fred before, "Fred, will you sing a song?" He said yes, and I talked about being frustrated. Well, Fred was supposed to do the song with me when I got frustrated, and I told Fred, "No, I'm not going to do it now." So when the Lord gave me What the Lord Allows, and I decided to record it, all I could hear, I said, "Boy, Fred could do this song with me, and it's going to be slamming."
Mm-hmm.
And so I called him up and asked him to do it, and he agreed. Such a great, he's like a mentor, like a big brother to me. Such a great man, such great insight in gospel, such great insight into music, and he wanted to help. There are people out there, like I said, even in business, who have extended themselves to me. And like I said, I have been in meetings with, worked with some of the best in gospel music around. And so for God opening those kinds of doors for me, I'm still forever grateful. A little boy from a country town in Florida called Crawfordville, Florida, that he would raise up. I remember at the age of 16 years old, and I grew up what we call primitive Baptist. And pastor or a prophet came to our church, and he was preaching. He stopped in the middle of his service. He turned around and looked at me while I was 16 years old, sitting in a choir stand. He looked at me and said, "You're going to be great and big in the field of gospel music.
Wow.
God's going to do this. He's going to take you around the world. You're going to meet all the people that you idolize." And he said that when I was 16, and I'm looking, Lord, I don't even want to sing like that. I don't think I'm good enough. I don't think my voice sounds like this person or my voice sounds like that person. And so many years, even when I recorded with Unrestrained Praise and I recorded with the Greater Blessings Praise Team, I'd write these songs, but I always push other people to lead them and sing them, because I always thought, well, I don't sound like the Winans. I don't sound like Mission. I don't sound like those male singers. So it can't be me that you're looking for. And it wasn't until 2020 that I decided, no, what I have works. And it's time for me to go solo. So What the Lord Allows is my first solo project.
Wow.
Not because it wasn't in me before, it's because I kept doubting one of the gifts that God gave me.
And you're a phenomenal singer. Phenomenal.
I want to know.
Look, you are one of the most transparent ministers that I have ever met, who's dealt with so many of the normal stuff, you know, and I think that's so inspiring that you fought through, and here we are. So
yeah, I just love people, and if you know me, you will learn that I don't like pretense. I don't like false. I'm just me. I grew up in the country. God's blessed me, but because God's blessed me, it didn't change the fiber of who I am. I'm still me.
That's right. You still you, and you, the little country boy, was inducted into the Gospel Music Hall of Fame. So when did that transpire?
Ooh, that had to be in the, I think I was inducted in the 90s.
Wow.
Really, it was either the 90s or early 2000. I'm not looking at the record, but I was inducted in the Florida Gospel Music Hall of Fame because you don't know when you're recording, when you're living in the moment, it's just the thing that you do.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know that the songs that you are writing are affecting so many people and so many lives, so many testimonies from these songs. And I've started saying, like I said, I used to say I'm not a songwriter, I'm an interpreter, but I had to change that somewhat and say I am a songwriter because God gave me the gift. Because so many people would send in these testimonies. Where did you get that song from? Where did it come from? You are one of the most prolific writers. Uh, these songs that you do, they're not like all the other songs. They are great songs. And I watched those songs as I traveled across the United States. I watched as we sang those songs, and people would be healed of cancer. People would be healed of AIDS and HIV. I watched that. I watched limbs grow in services. One of the things that God told me, the first thing that God told me to do when I founded the Greater Blessings Tabernacle of Praise, the first part of the mission was sing the healings. First thing he said, sing the healing.
Mm-hmm.
So I always knew that in my ministry, singing would be a vital part of it. Sing the healing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the greatest gifts of knowing that you've helped somebody, you helped them overcome, you've helped them in the middle of a sickness, you've helped them, you've prayed for them. I remember I had an employee in Jacksonville, and I was having revival 2 hours away in my hometown of Tallahassee. And another one of my employees had been to a service I'd done. And this lady was going through, and she told my other employee, there were two employees, she said, I just believe if we drive to Tallahassee, God has a blessing and he's going to do something for you tonight. So they showed up in the revival on a Friday night, and they were going to drive over and stay. Well, in that Friday night service, I looked at her at the end of the service and said, the Lord said, if you'll stay overnight and come to the services on tomorrow, he'll give you the blessing that you were looking for. And I just let it go. She decided to stay.
Mm-hmm.
So when she came in the next day on a Saturday, I said, oh, you did what the Lord said and you stayed. He's going to bless you. And I looked at her immediately and I said, whatever the doctor said about you, go back and tell the doctors that I said, the Lord said, look again. I said, go back and tell them whatever's going wrong, tell them to look again. So she took my advice. She went back and told the doctors look again. Now, mind you, I didn't know what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
So she went back, told the doctors to look again, and she called me. And she said, Pastor, you told me to tell the doctors to look again, but these 3 huge fibroid tumors that I have are still there. They said, why did you come back to me? And what should I do now? They said, I need to have a hysterectomy. I said, if they're saying all of that, the Lord says, prepare for surgery. So I got angry with God. God, why would you tell me to tell the lady to go look again if I didn't even know she had fibroids, if the big fibroids are going to be there when she goes back and tells the doctor to look again. So she prepared for surgery. And I was in Atlanta, Georgia. My phone rang. I picked up the phone. It was her husband calling me.
Mm-hmm.
And he was so excited on the phone. She said, my wife told me I had to get on the phone and call you. She's in recovery. She only came through to tell me to call you, and she went back out. I said, well, what's going on? They went in to look to see what they had to do, and no tumors were there.
Wow. Look at God.
And so um, before, when she went back and told him to look again, I can tell you the part of that story. When they took the picture and told her to prepare for surgery, instead of 3 tumors being there, there were 4.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really mad. She had 3, now you got 4.
Right.
Really mad. And so when he called me that day, I said, Lord, I got it. And the Lord spoke and said, she believed you too quick. She went back too fast. He said, the reason that they saw 4 tumors, he said, I showed up and I was doing the work and they caught a glimpse of me in the middle of the tumors trying to take them out. And I say, you know what, God? I say, I trust you with everything. And she tells that testimony today. She had recently got married because her first husband was killed in a car accident. And her new husband had never had a child. And she wanted to have a child. And when she came back to the church and told the testimony after all of that happened, in that same service, I looked at her and said, the Lord said, you're about to have a baby. And you're going to have that baby. It's going to be born close to my birthday, maybe even on my birthday. My birthday was July 1st. A year later, the baby was born July 2nd. And they had told her they wanted to do a hysterectomy. And so the power of God through the singing of the songs, through the ministering, has always blessed me. It's blessed people. So I got to keep doing what he's put in my heart to do. And I'm sorry if I'm taking so long, but you can tell I get excited about the things that God does and the things that he allows me to experience.
That's okay. It's a beautiful testimony. You got me revved up for sure. So, and then I'm going to close it out before this Zoom cut us off.
Okay.
Can you tell our viewers where to follow you and watch your videos and download your music?
Oh, please follow me, follow me, follow me, follow me. You know, I'm approachable, I'm reachable. You can contact me. I'm not like many artists that you can't put your hands on. You can call me. But DeWayne Harvey Music. Follow me on Instagram at DeWayne Harvey and follow me on Twitter at DeWayne Harvey. My music is streaming on all digital platforms. Amazon Music, Apple Music, Tidal, Deezer, YouTube Music, Pandora. It's streaming everywhere. Spotify. Oh, the response has been so great to this song. It's been overwhelming. Streaming everywhere. You can purchase on some digital outlets, some just let you stream, but it's available everywhere. If you want to check it out, the videos, go to YouTube, go to my Facebook page and see not only the regular video, but the lyric video, and you can also hear the song. I also have another bonus track that we released after What the Lord Allows to give some other things. It's called Ever Really Wonder. And it's such an urban tune, but it asks such a great question. It asks the question, ever really wonder why you're so afraid to try? And God told me that most of us don't get what we want because we're so afraid to try when he sends the idea. And he said, why you're so afraid to try is because you don't want to live like God has planned. What is the deal? And what that meant was you're so trying to figure it out your way. But if you just listen to the voice of God and let me take you where I'm going, you may not understand it. You may not know how it's going to work. But if you trust me, it's going to work out. Stop listening and following your own thought and follow what I give you because my plan always works.
It always prevails.